Hey, my good friends at C506. Look who's here. Do you remember him? Mr. Todd McFarlane is again with us. And if you remember our last conversation, we were talking about the Spawn universe expanding. So the day is coming closer, and now Mr. McFarlane, well, we're going to talk with him about this and what's coming on. So thank you very much, Todd, for this second interview. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Luis, I'm alive. It's a great day today, right? I always ask people, how are you doing? They go, oh, I'm having a good day. And I go, what's preventing it from being great? Right? Like,
That's right.
dude, come on. Like today is life. Life is good.
Life is good, and you can continue with your projects or whatever you are up to do.
Yeah.
Just recently, this Kentaro Miura from the mangaka from Berserk just passed away. We just found out a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And he put his series in a long hiatus, and well, now nobody knows what's going to happen if he left something written so his
Right.
assistants can complete it. But so just being alive, it's more than enough to be happy. I agree with you.
That gives us another opportunity to maybe take some of the ideas in our head and put them on paper. Right.
That's
So
right.
whenever creative people will never get all the ideas in their head out before they take their last breath. So we're hoping to get just a little bit of them out there because we've got thousands of them. They never go away. Our brains never shut off. So, I've got to stay healthy so I can get some more ideas out, because I've got some of them that I want to share.
So well, that's now that we're talking about these situations of artists passing away and maybe their projects not being completed. How long in advance do you think? Do you have something written for the next, I don't know, months, years, or?
Nope. No, I'm Luis. I probably would horrify most creative people at how little I plan in the future. Right? I'm I'm just like it's like football, right? Soccer, right? The ball's on my foot right now. I'm not worried about the next time the ball's on my foot. I'm worried about right now. The ball's on my foot. What am I going to do now? Right? Like, can I get a goal now? I'll worry about trying to get another goal the next time the ball comes my direction. But I've got to worry about now. So I sort of treat a lot of my creativity that way. So even with something as big as the introduction of the Spawn's universe, uh, do I have a 5-year plan? No. Do I know where it's going to be in 2 years? No. And part of it is because I'm hoping to work with many, many talented creative people, and I'm going to hand them the brush, and I'm going to tell them to paint whatever they want to on this big empty canvas. And that's the joy and the thrill for me in collaborating with other people, is not saying you must do what Todd wants. It's more, what do you want to do? So if I was going to hire you, Luis, the first thing I'd do is say, Luis, forget what I want you to do. What would you like to do in a big giant universe? And it doesn't even have to be Spawn related. Give it to me right now. I bet you I can make it work. Let's go.
I understand what do you mean in this case. So, well, what's on my mind right now? Well, like we say, we're just living just the moment, and
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Luis,
mhm.
is that sometimes people don't realize that the moment they're living in may actually be bigger than it is. Right? I keep saying, because in my head, I keep saying that what I'm doing with the Spawn's universe will become, hopefully, fingers crossed, will become way more important as the years go by. Because as it gets bigger, and more interesting, with more people, with more creative ideas and more characters, more books.
Mhm.
That as we get further away, people will go, man, when did all that start? Oh yeah. That was back in 2021. Man, oh man, I didn't know that was going to be such a big deal, right? And part of it is because the what I'm doing is tied to two things that people may be a little comfortable with, which is, maybe even a little bored with, which is number one, me, Todd. Shit, been
Mhm.
talking about Todd for a lot of years, like whatever, Todd McFarlane, whatever. And Spawn. Yeah, I get it. Todd does Spawn. Nothing new, nothing new, nothing new, right? But right now, the Spawn's Universe issue number 1 is tracking
Mhm.
to be the highest selling new title and image of the 21st century. So if I was to say to you, Luis, and your fans, no. The biggest book in the 21st century of image is from Bill Smith, and it's called Ice Cream Guy. You would go, oh my God, can I do an interview with him? You're telling me it's going to be the biggest book of the 21st century. You would want to do, right? But because those pieces of information, the biggest launch in the 21st century, is tied to Spawn and Todd, which is like, kind of bored. I don't think that everybody is going to quite understand till a little bit later what this sort of beginning could possibly mean. Um, and my job will be to make it more valuable, if you will, as time goes by. That people go, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I just thought it was Todd and Spawn. I missed it.
So basically, the Spawn well, like we talked about that before, but the Spawn Universe number 1 release, we're hoping that it will be like the day Action Comics 1 was released, Detective Comics 27 was released, Amazing Fantasy 15. You know that it was like one more issue, but in the long term, it created it created 2 universes, because I'm talking about both of the two big of the big 2. So that would be your desire, that the Spawn Universe 1 would be like the Action Comics 1 of this century.
Not no, because those introduced new characters, right?
Mhm.
So the Spawn's universe is introducing sort of the concept of why I need to expand, right? I'm going to create a couple reasons. Some of them are already there. I'm just going to bring them to the forefront. So this is just going to be like me telling a story as to why I have to do more books, because things are happening and I can't put all of it into the Spawn comic book, because then the Spawn comic book is just going to be a team up book, or it's going to be a group book. And that's not what that book's supposed to be. So potentially something like maybe Gunslinger number 1, although he's a character who's been around for a bit. But you're going, oh my God, I got the first issue of a character who hopefully, again, will go on to bigger and better. And then as time goes by, as we introduce whole new characters that have never even been in one page yet. Gunslinger's has made, appearances in the past, never had his own book. But, much like the Punisher, arguably even Wolverine, right? Wolverine went from Hulk 181 appearance, ends up being in the X-Men, and then eventually gets his own book. So Gunslinger would follow more of that kind of a track in the best case scenario. The bigger one is like if we introduce in the next couple of years like new titles with new characters that nobody's ever seen, and a couple of those end up being popular. And they go for 30, 40, 50 years, then maybe we can say we did that. What I'm saying is that if I'm still doing this universe 10, 20 years from now, we're going to be able to track it all the way back down to 2021 and these books, and more so Spawn's Universe was basically me sort of waving a flag saying, hey guys, I'm starting something. If you want to pay attention, here's the start of it. So it'd be important in that fashion.
Well, I know for sure that it's going to be something, and I know it's going to be something big. Now, do you have any numbers already about the pre-sales of the comic book, or if the comic book stores have been ordering it a lot, or do you?
Yeah, like I said, right. I mean, we get our final orders on June 1st, so I'll know the real orders on June 1st, because I have to give that number to the printer, because the book has to get printed. But right now it's tracking to be, as I said earlier, to be the biggest launch in the last 25 years of Image Comics. So for sure in the 21st century. And we've had some pretty big launches. I mean, I think there's been a couple of Walking Dead anniversary books and a couple of Spawn anniversary books that probably will have higher numbers, which is why I say new launch, like new #1 launch. So we'll have, I was to say to any collector, hey, you can buy the biggest selling new launch at Image and since the year 2000. I think hopefully people will be curious, like, what is that? Oh, here it is, Spawn's Universe. 64 pages, $5.99 US dollars, going to be a great value. It's basically going to be issue 300 format, except for $2 cheaper. So I'm going to take that same format and I'm going to take $2 off the price tag. So I'm hopefully it'll be quality and a good value. And then I think, Luis, that 2 months later, when King Spawn comes out, I think that will be even higher. So that record of the biggest launch of the 21st century for Spawn's Universe might only last 2 months, and then King Spawn's going to break it. Boom, boom.
That's great.
And then if Spawn's Universe works and King Spawn works and people are happy with it, then 2 months after that, then they go, oh my God, we get this book called Gunslinger. It's going to look really pretty. It's going to be a very pretty looking book, and it's going to have a lot of value. So I'm guessing if I'm a retailer, I said, hey, last 2 books worked, right? I got another #1. I guess we can buy some of these. These probably work. And then by the time they get to the team book, the Scorched, they're saying, hey, 3 for 3. Why not try it again? Again, I'm not saying that sales are going to keep going up. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that all of them, if the first one works, then it should create a domino to help then move the second, third, and fourth. And each one that succeeds on top of that will only solidify the success, I think, or at least the curiosity of the next book coming down the pipeline.
Well, that sounds like a great plan. Like you say, the domino.
It's a master plan.
Master plan. Yeah.
I'm an evil genius.
I won't call you evil, but yeah, it's a very, very well.
It's a plan. It's a plan. We'll leave it at that, and we'll just see if it works.
For somebody who says that he never thinks so much in advance, it's a very structured plan, Yeah. And talking about this plan, are there any maybe action figures coming out to reinforce this release?
Yeah. We will have the Gunslinger figure is going to be coming out soon. The Redeemer figure is going to be coming out soon. The Medieval Spawn figure will be coming out. The She-Spawn will be coming out. And then we're even talking about some of the cool villains and some of the bigger scale stuff that will be coming along the way. Yeah.
They will be through regular retail or any Kickstarter?
Yeah. The majority of it will be through regular retailer. Yep.
Okay. But I guess there is a plan for another Kickstarter after the success it was the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do the odd Kickstarter, here and there. So
That's great. Now, when you always say Spawn, and they just got the Guinness World Record as the longest independent comic book, and just reached the more than 300 issues. But there is a moment, an Image Comics or any other house that is not the big two, there is a moment that we say, okay, how do you still consider independent, even though of your numbers, of your characters? So why not start considering Image maybe the third big one? Or
it will never happen. And I mean, we are the third biggest. If you're just talking about in terms of scale and the number of titles in the books, we are the third biggest, and we've held that for 20 years. We're going to continue to hold it. I would even say independent isn't even sort of the right word. It's creator owned, because Image owns nothing. This is the piece that people don't understand. There are other independent companies. I would put like Boom and Valiant, IDW, Dark Horse. I would call those independent, but they're still owned by one entity who has pretty much ownership of everything that they print. Mm-hmm. Image doesn't. Image doesn't own. Image owns the desks and the computers at our office. That's it. That's all. We don't own anything. So if you do a book for us, Luis, or anybody listening does a book for us, we don't own it. And so that's the pride that we have, those of us that are partners, of being able to say that, not in a bad way, but saying that in a good way, that if you invent the next Spider-Man or the next Venom or the next Superman, then you are going to get the benefit of it. Ask Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman did Walking Dead. He was the one that got the benefit of creating and making Walking Dead with his creative team, right? Not Image comic books per se. The value Image got was that we then said, hey, why don't you come and create your Walking Dead for us? Everybody, come on. I'm not saying every book's going to be Walking Dead, but you're not going to know if you don't try. So we're there as an opportunity. Todd McFarlane and Spawn are just a byproduct of Image existing. Robert Kirkman is the same. Brian K. Vaughan is the same. Everybody all the way through for the 30 years that Image has been around, like good, bad, or indifferent. There's been different levels of success with the hundreds of books we've done. That we're just saying that there's a chance, but you're never going to know if you never try. Oh, by the way, if you want to try, you can come over to us, and if we decide to publish your book, then it's all yours. Woo, right? If they make video games, yours. They make T-shirts and hats, yours. Movies, TV shows, yours, right? So that's good. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
No. That's a very good thing, actually. Well, one of the reasons Image was created, it was because of this. I guess that when the big two were keeping the rights for the characters, and all these issues came in with the Superboy thing, with the Batman thing, with Bill Finger and Bob Kane and all that. So I guess that when you and the other guys created Image, you thought about that, and that's why you tried to change the way things were.
Right, but Louise, now, so let's talk about Spawn's universe. Well, I mean, I own Spawn. So now the people that are working on Spawn's universe, then they're not gonna own Spawn.
No.
Book, right. So essentially they become freelancers just like they would at Marvel and DC. So the question could be asked, I think it's fair. Well, hold check, Todd. If you're all about people creating and owning, then what about the people who work for you?
Oh, it's a different.
So there's a big portion of people who are content with working on other people's characters, right? It's why Marvel and DC have people drawing their books. They're happy. They get a page rate, they got a job, steady job, and they're okay with that. Maybe some of them may in the future go off and try and do their own project, but even from the writing end of it, you've seen plenty of big time writers sort of do both at the same time, right? Scott Snyder's done some really great stuff for us while he's still working at DC. Donny Cates is doing some great stuff for us while he's still working at Marvel. It gets harder if you're an artist, but there's still a big portion of people who just say, no, I just want to draw Captain America. I just want to draw Batman. I want to draw Spider-Man. I want to draw Spawn, and they're happy to do it. And so my job then is to say, okay, for those of you that want to do that, although every day I'm going to recommend that you should go and create your own stuff, is that if you come, I'll pay you better than the big two. And if it turns into Venom, then you will get way, way, way more money doing it for me, because I know what it's like having to create something big for a big corporation and how little you get out of that. So I want to create something that if it's worth billions of dollars someday, that a big giant portion of that $1 billion is going back to the creative people. That's not true right now. If you create and invent stuff for Marvel and DC. So so there'll be the big two, there'll be create your own stuff, which is still the best. And then I'm going to create this sort of middle ground that's like, you're going to be a freelancer, but I'm going to try and pay you as much as I can, because I don't have a big corporation and 1 million people and property downtown I got to pay for and whatever. So
there is a case I would like to talk with you, but if you want me to just leave it out or just don't include it on the final video, it's okay. But talking about this, the creatives and people being owners of their characters, what about the Angela case? What can you tell us about that? When Angela went from the Spawn universe, well, the Image,
yeah,
Marvel was taken to Marvel. Is that one of the example where you say that, well, if you create something, it's yours?
Yeah, well, somebody here, yeah, that's an interesting case, because at some point you can't have 20 people coming into Spawn creating 20 characters and then them just being able to take those characters away. Somebody has to be able to curate and be over those, right? So anyways, it was at the beginning there, I thought we had an understanding. Obviously, Neil understood it differently, which is his right. And, we live in a world where people are allowed to contest what their point of view is. So, okay, lesson learned. And now you fast forward, that situation will never replicate itself again, because once you've sort of been in that fight, you don't want to go down a fight like that again. And so all you can do is just say, hey, here's the deal that I offer working, for me. If you're going to work on a Spawn book, it's up to you as an individual to decide whether you want that. And we get it all down on paper, right? Neil and I had a handshake. And so, we both remember slightly different. That's okay. It just ended up being an eye opener. So.
I understand, and I brought this because it, what we were talking about, reminded me that, like I said, if you want me to keep this out of the interview, that's fine. But
I don't care. It's like, again, like I said, Neil has every right, just like anybody else, to do what they think is right for them, and so do I, right? And sometimes those collide. That's okay. It's just life.
I understand, but not well.
But what we should do, like I said, is you should learn from them so you don't repeat it, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't run into that a second time. So
coming back to Spawn universe, last time you gave me a pretty good list of artists and writers coming in. We even received a call from John Romita Jr. during the interview.
Yeah.
So which other artists have you closed since then, since our last talk?
Wow, I'm trying to think who I went on. A handful of cover artists. The cover, getting people to do covers is sort of the easiest sort of piece of all of this, right? Because just somebody giving you one piece. I think the bigger, more compelling things are going to be when I can announce new one-shot, new miniseries, graphic novels, whatever, maybe even new titles with the creative team and or writer that are going to be on the book, because then those are people you're going to get lots of pages from. And so I know when I was collecting, it was way more important to know who was doing the inside of the book than who was doing, a cover once a year or something like that. So I'm those conversations. Actually, I have one later today with a creative person. But I'm trying to accommodate everybody's creative work habits. So, everybody doesn't want to do a monthly book. Some people will say, Todd, I'll do a miniseries. Some people say, I'll do a one shot. Some people say, all I can do is a cover. And so I have to be able to be flexible enough to say, yeah, whatever, right? My mom taught me there's beggars and choosers. And so I'm the guy begging right now. And so I usually say, hey, I'll take anywhere between 1 page and 1 million pages, somewhere in between 1 page and 1 million. So whatever you tell me what that means, and I'll figure out whether we can accommodate it. And I'm sure over time we'll be able to sort of meet anybody's needs. So because people have schedules, they're working on other books, they're doing their own creative books, they have life. There's all those other things to consider, right? Yeah. My presumption isn't to phone somebody and say, hey, I need you to do, A, B, and C. My thing is, hey, I think you're really good. If you're interested, what would you like to do? And how fast can you do it? You tell me, and then we'll just schedule that in a proper fashion.
I understand. So, okay. And now, also regarding Spawn universe and what's coming in for Spawn in different media. Last time, when we were talking about the movie, you said that you were still waiting for the for the green light to start filming. Yep. How is it going now that people is getting the vaccine already? And did you already take the shot or not yet?
Two shots.
Oh, 2 shots. That's great. So hope you didn't have a lot of post effects. So I hope
zero.
Nice.
I had 0. So either I'm getting too old because they said old people doesn't affect them that much, or I'm Superman. I thought I was going to be Superman because I go, I'm not going to let this bug me. And then they said, well, it doesn't affect old people as much. So like, I don't know whether I'm Superman or I'm just old. So I'm having a bit of a debate with myself.
Let's just stay with Superman. But what about that? What about the filming, the shooting? Is there already an official date or not yet?
No. We're right now. I've got 2 really big writers working on the project, and once we get that script done, because the one I wrote didn't quite fly, and once that script's in shape, I think we haven't even announced who those people are, but with all the people that are attached with this project, I think that script and the project and the people, it'll sell that quick. So we're just waiting for that script to get finished here. Yeah, we had a conversation about it, a group conversation about it yesterday.
Okay, we have been talking about Todd.
But we do have, between now and then, though, there will be some news coming out about some TV projects I'm working on, though. So
Great.
before the big news of Spawn, there's going to be little pieces of headlines about some TV projects. Yep.
That's great. I know that you can tell me because of the non-disclosures and all that. I understand. So we have talked about Todd, the businessman, Todd, the producer, Todd, the editor, but would like to talk a little bit more about Todd, the artist. I know, well, you're drawing your own comic books, but this is a question I have done so to many artists. And what is the character that you didn't create, or that you say, oh my God, I wish I had created that?
Batman.
Batman?
Batman. I get Batman. Batman makes, for a guy like me mentally, Batman makes perfect sense to me, right? And it goes like this. I've got probably a warped sense of what Batman is. It's a guy who's handsome, who's successful, who's got a lot of money, who all the ladies want to date him, and he can do anything he wants, and he doesn't give a shit. And so what he does at the end of the day is that he just goes home and he doesn't say, look at me, I'm rich and handsome and famous and I got lots of supermodels for girlfriends. He goes home most of the time by himself, and he just sits alone at home by himself. Sometimes Alfred's hanging out, and he just waits and he waits and he waits and he looks at his clock, and at 2:00 in the morning, he says, get me the black costume because I'm going to go scare the shit out of him. I actually get that guy. He doesn't care about being a rich, famous millionaire. He cares about going after people that have abused others, who have scared others, and saying, I'm going to scare you back. I'm going to give you a taste of your own medicine. Get ready for it. And oh, by the way, people who get their own medicine, we call them in our modern days, we call them bullies. Bullies don't like being bullied back.
No.
So they don't even know what to do with it. They don't know what to do if you're not afraid, because their whole game is about you being afraid. And you not being afraid it throws them off. So I get that dude. And so to some extent that's sort of Spawn, right? Spawn is, to me, I've always said, it's just Todd McFarlane with a costume. It's like, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to put up with it. I want to live my life, and I don't want anybody sort of pushing me around, telling me how to live my life. So I'm going to go in my corner, but if you get in my way and you push, I'm not going to push first, just so everybody knows. I'm not going to push first, but if you push, I'll push him back. And if you want to punch, I'll punch back. Like, dude, you set the table. You tell me the rules that we're playing by, and then let's go. But I don't want to hear you complaining now that I'm scaring you. I'm Batman. I'm scaring you after you've been doing nothing but scaring people. I'm not going to put up with it. So in my life, it's silly, Luis. I used to play a lot of pickup basketball. Same thing. We can play and be gentlemen, me and you. We can play a nice game. We can play an average game, or we can play a nasty game. I don't care. I'm up for all of it. You tell me what game you want to play. So if you want to start throwing elbows, I don't care. I can take it. I'm a big boy. But when I pop an elbow into you, I don't want to hear you belly aching, right? You started the elbow. So man up and take it. If you're going to throw elbows, and be able to take it back. But I found most bullies only go one direction. They like to sort of push. They don't like getting pushed back. So Batman perfectly get him. So
I understand what you say. So Batman is your
the
one that you wish you created.
He's crazy like me. So.
And talking about your art, we already know the Todd McFarlane style, but which artists were your influence? Who did you take some styles or some thing, over here and over there, to create your own style?
It's a handful. It's a handful of people. So for me, it was, you know, I like, you know, for example, I liked the detail that George Perez did, and I liked his machines. So I was sort of one, oh, I want to do machines sort of like George Perez. And then John Byrne and especially a guy named Marshall Rogers, I thought they did the best capes, right? Marshall Rogers did these cool big capes. And I go, oh my gosh, they do cool capes. So I'll take a little bit of their capes. And then some of the energy of, you know, John Byrne and Gil Kane. Gil Kane, like, man, when he slugged somebody, they like they got shot out of a cannon. And so I went, oh my gosh, I've got to sort of do some of that. And then, you know, clear storytelling, John Romita Jr. or senior and junior. And then a little bit later on, Frank Miller, they were very succinct in their storytelling. And so what ends up happening, you know, and then I'd put a little bit of, you know, Art Adams, Michael Golden in those categories, that by the time you take a little bit of all of them and you mix it up, right, and you pour it out on the page, it ends up being, you know, my style, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it becomes its own recipe. And then people go, oh my God, look at Todd's got a unique style. Not really. All the ingredients were borrowed from stuff that obviously I had seen. Nobody creates in a vacuum. Yeah. But those were the big influences. Some of them obviously much more. But, and I'd probably say overall, Gil Kane was probably the biggest influence on me. Even you know, even stuff like Akira with all the speed lines and fun stuff. But yeah, just a handful of people. Yep. Do you feel satisfied with your style, or you keep working to improve it? My best drawing is always tomorrow. So I hopefully I haven't done my best, and it's all downhill from here, because I plan, Louise, on living another 40 more years. I got 4 more decades. So hopefully I'm just at the halfway point, and there'll be plenty of art and ideas and collaborations that people will be talking about in the future that don't even exist right now, that people are going to say, oh my God, that was the best work he ever did of his life, right? So it's funny when you get, I just turned 60, but I've only been in the business for about 30, 35 years. But if I live to be 100, that means I'm only halfway through my career, right? So that means I've only shown you half of what I've got. It's hard for people to imagine that, because they go, wow, Todd, you've been around for so long. But in my mind, like, you've only seen half of it. I still have lots more to show. So get ready.
And okay, that's now Spawn Universe. You know, hoping that it starts a machine that will work with or without you, even though that, you know, many years and all that. But and we have talked before that you're a person that likes to do the things, you know, to keep an eye on them. And well, is there any moment that you have thought that maybe there will be a time where you will have to just in superhero language, pass the cow to somebody else to run the Spawn universe? At the moment they say, you know what, I will just be here sitting and watching what's going on. I will not I will not have the steering wheel anymore.
Yes and no. I don't think that I'll ever be just sitting watching. It will be more of a byproduct of me being busy with other things. So if I'm doing 2 TV shows and directing a movie, I may not be able to write and do covers for 2 of the books. So I'll still help edit and do creative guidance, but I won't be able to do it myself, because I only have 24 hours in one day. I can only do so much. So my guess is there will come between now and the time I die moments where I'm able to contribute, writing, drawing, inking on my own books, not because I don't want to, but because I'm busy doing some other creative thing that's taken up those same hours. So you have to just be practical. You have to get sleep, you have to eat, and you have to have enough time for life and your family. So you have to balance all of it. So I'll just have to figure it out. Yep.
I understand you. So, well, we are less than a month, less than 2 months for the Spawn universe to come in. And I know that you don't have to sell it. Everybody knows what is Spawn. And well, we know that new people will come in and discover Spawn and its universe. But what would you say to everybody who says, I don't know, I'm not very sure if I should buy this Spawn universe. It sounds more like a lot more spawns and spawn here and spawn there. So what would you tell to all these people that still have their doubts on getting the Spawn universe comic book?
The first thing I would remind everybody is the name is Todd, only rhymes with God. I don't have any control over any human being. So the people who don't buy it, I have no control over. The people who buy it, I have no control over. So if I had that power, I'd have 8 billion sales every month.
Yeah.
So I don't. Here's all I can do, Luis. I can come up with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
I can put it into production. I can try and give a quality product with an interesting sort of ideas and characters at a fair price. Spawn's Universe is going to be 64 pages at $5.99. It's going to be the format of Spawn 300, $2 cheaper. Like, so if nothing else, even if you're just curious, then it's going to be a $5.99 curiosity. You could do way worse for 64 pages. And then I'll just let you decide for yourself and decide whether it's worth looking at any of the other things that I do. And I don't assume everybody's going to buy it. And then even those who do like it, I don't even assume that those fans are going to buy all 4 books. That's not a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put out 4 books. If only 1 or 2 you like, just buy the ones you like. We do it with Marvel and DC. They each put out 50, 60 books. We can't afford all of them.
Yeah.
We take the ones that we personally like. Okay, mine's going to be no different. The goal at the end of it, Luis, isn't to get everybody to like it and to talk them all into liking it, because I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's to find enough people so that I can pay the bills and then I can do it again next month. So I'm not looking for all the people. I'm not even looking for a lot of people. I'm looking for just enough people so that I can get up and say, cool, let's do it again next month. Let's do it again next month. Let's do it again. And then some of the books, I'm sure over time will fail, just like Marvel and DC. Sometimes you have to cancel books. And other times, some books have characters that surprise you and do better than you ever thought. I'm guessing that all the things that have happened in the past for the last 40, 50, 60 years in comic book and in our industry will play out with what I'm doing. People will pick their favorites. People will say, I love it, I hate it. I mean, there's people who say, I like Marvel. Who cares about DC? And vice versa, right? Yeah. They cut companies. So there are people who don't buy Image books. Forget Spawn. They don't even buy Image books. Mm-hmm. So, okay. And then people who buy Spawn but go, well, I don't need all those characters. I don't like them all. Okay, I'm good with it. Can I find enough? Because remember, for 30 years almost, if you do like Spawn, once a month, I only get to feed that once a month. And now it's going to get to be twice a month, 3 times a month, and then 4 times a month. So it's going to be once a week. So if you like it, right? If you like chocolate bars, I've been feeding you 1 chocolate bar a month, but if you like chocolate bars, you're going to get 4 chocolate bars. Now you're going to get 1 a week. Not bad. I like chocolate bars. So I don't know. It worked for Batman, worked for Superman, worked for Spider-Man, the Avengers. There's lots of titles have multiple books based around the same idea. In my case, I'm trying as time goes by to get further and further away from it being about Spawn. I don't want it to be about Spawn. Ideally, like I said, in 5 years, Spawn and Todd McFarlane should not be at the center of all this.
Mhm.
And if that's true, then it will be a big success. If Todd, me, and Spawn are still at the core, the biggest pieces of this, then I think I failed. I failed in what it is that I'm trying to do.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, well, let's go. Let's see how it goes. I'm pretty sure that, well, here in Mexico, I know for sure it's very, very hyped regarding the Spawn universe. Like you said, Mexico is like the second biggest Spawn fans emails and letters you receive. So I know for sure that it's going to be a pretty good. It's going to have pretty good numbers. But
the I can say that as time goes by, the Gunslinger Spawn book is going to have a bit of a slant toward sort of Mexican, Latino sort of influence, just by the nature of who that character is. So.
Okay, so yeah, I know for sure everything related to Spawn will have big numbers over here. But what's coming in regard? Well, now
I'm saying, Louis, just so you understand, I'm saying in the book.
In the book, yeah.
Not just for sales. Because again, these characters lived along the U.S. Mexican border, in the Wild West. Some of that is going to play out in the comic book. So.
And the confusion, like, hey, this used to be Mexico, but now it's not. Now it's America. Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And so, what's coming for the other, McFarlane Toys, McFarlane Productions? Any new license you can talk us about? Video games coming over? You just talked about the television project, but I don't know.
Yeah, we do have a couple big toy licenses, but those announcements, I think one maybe it's going to come next week, and then another big one will come a couple weeks after that. So, I mean, there's, like I said, I'm guessing in the next month, 2 months, you're going to get a lot of comic book headlines. You're going to get some TV development headlines, and you're going to get some toy announcement headlines. There's going to be sort of a steady stream of news coming out from our side of things. So get ready. There's gonna be stuff coming for sure, but nothing I can unfortunately announce today.
Well, we'll be looking forward for the announcements. You and your people are kind enough to send us these press releases, so we know for sure it's going to be they're going to be big announcements. Todd, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you again. Hope we can speak again when somebody else comes in. Let's see how is the Spawn universe going? How is the movie going after the script has been already approved by you, or any other project? So
never know. The fun of all this, Louise, is that there's a lot of potential still in the future that you and I can talk about, right? Mm-hmm. And it's fun to talk about the past and how we got here. But to me, sort of the fun is always about what just came out or what's coming out, right? And there's lots of possibilities in different businesses that you and I can still speak about and not have to go over sort of old territory.
Mm-hmm. So, no, and it will be my pleasure. That's why I'm trying to focus a little bit more on what's coming. About your past, we already talked about on our previous interview. So from now on, we can just go to
tomorrow.
Tomorrow and the today, because like you just say, we have to live day by day.
Yep.
So, any last thing you would like to tell people who's going to watch this video?
No, I'll reiterate the same thing I said last time, which is, you know, I mean, at some point we'll get back to normal, as much as whatever that is, and you know, we'll be able to travel again. Maybe conventions will get back, and I'm sort of anxious to get, you know, down and meet, you know, the good people that you talk to, and not just stay in America all the time. You know, there's just so many countries and so many wonderful cultures and good people. I, I, I want to go and meet those people and get them to, you know, make me smarter. So we're gonna come. We're gonna come in your direction here when the time's appropriate.
And we're really looking forward to speak with you again, and also to see you here in Mexico and Latin America. Like you said, when the movie comes in, that's when you are waiting to come in. But anyway, people, remember Spawn Universe #1. It's coming over. Some people even thought, said this is going to be the biggest release on the 21st century.
From Image Comics, yep.
And and it may be the starting point of one of the biggest universes we have ever seen. So look forward for it on your favorite store or in your online retailer or anyone. So just look for it, okay? Thank you so very much, Todd. Looking forward to talk to you. It's been such a honor as always.
All right. Thank you, Luis. And thank you to all your listeners for spending their time with us.
Hasta pronto, Todd.